This one's wife, Scobie, you're factually incorrect. Fallout continues from Bell End Game, with the improbably named plastic-faced, Weasley lickspittle lieutenant that is Omid Scobie attempting to save his own skin and demonstrating that he's just like his sponsors, a dealer of lies. The Times reports, with Peter Chappell and Ben Ellery, Omid Scobie, my stomach flipped when I saw Royal Racists text. The author, Omid Scobie, has admitted that an early and uncleared text was provided to the Dutch publisher of his book, which ended up naming two royals at the centre of a race row. The confession by Scobie, 42, follows his previous claim that he had never submitted a book that had their names in it. Therefore, he has contradicted himself, hardly a surprise. In a column for the I newspaper, he wrote that his stomach flipped the moment he discovered Dutch copies of Endgame, named King Charles and the Princess of Wales as the senior royals, who were said to have made remarks speculating about the skin colour of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's unborn child. Notice the failure still of Scobie to issue an apology for this behaviour. So self-interested he is, all he's bothered about is saving his plastic hide, rather than issuing an apology to the individuals that ought to receive it. The Times revealed that his agency, United Talent Agency, sent a draft version to the Dutch publisher Xander, which contained the names. It is alleged the royals made remarks speculating about the skin colour of the Sussex's unborn child, Archie. And as we all know, such speculation isn't racist, but is entirely common. But this one's wife interprets it as racist as a consequence of the paranoid victimhood of her narcissism, and then weaponizes these comments for the purposes of smearing the members of the royal family. The agency did send a final version weeks before publication, which did not name the two royals. However, the translator interpreted the earlier version of the manuscript. Nevertheless, she simply interpreted what had been placed in front of her. She didn't add the names in, so Scobie wrote them, and she interpreted them. These are Scobie's words, and no matter what linguistic gymnastics that he engages in, the fact is, he has named them on behalf of his handler, and we all know why this is. On Friday night, the Dutch publishers criticised Scobie's comments and said the author was factually incorrect. Well, I know who I believe. Xander disputed the version of events in his I column and said, "We do not recognise ourselves in his representation of the events." The publisher told Mail Online in a statement, Xander Uitgevers is not allowed to say anything about the content of the book. We therefore refer to Scobie's agent UTA. In the column, Scobie wrote, "What I can be sure of is that I edited carefully, took independent legal advice, and the finished book that I submitted was not the version published in the Netherlands. You look out for yourself there, Scobie, as usual." Recalling the moment he realised the name had been published, Scobie said that he had heard the news during TV interviews to promote the book. "My stomach flipped. The 403 pages that I had carefully written, edited and signed off to the printers made it very clear that any names would not be revealed due to legal reasons." Still confused about what had happened and unable to keep an eye on the unfolding story during my back-to-back press appearances, well, what's your fucking agent doing then, you plastic-faced tool? I was at the very least revealed to see the Netherlands publisher swiftly announce that copies containing what they described as a translation error would be removed from stores. As a second name started circulating, questions were coming in thick and fast. I had many too, but details at this point were still being pieced together and I don't have the full story. Thousands of copies were pulled from the Netherlands and Belgium last week amid comments from Buckingham Palace that it was exploring all options regarding potential legal action. In his column, Scobie also attacked the royal family for trying to sweep the issue of race under the rug and for refusing to properly address prejudice. For the 12.8 million ethnic minority individuals in multicultural Britain today, shooing away opportunities to meaningfully explore the royal institution's historic links to slavery and the impact its legacy has had on the country, or have serious conversations around the royal institution's failure to protect its only family member of colour, this being a woman, of course, who has held herself out as white, sends a clear message that the issues just don't matter, he wrote. Oh, fuck off, you odious scrote. No, you don't care at all about meaningfully exploring the royal institution's historic links to slavery or having serious conversations. Why not have discussion? It's not a conversation. It's just some wanky use of the word, utilised by twats such as you, around the royal institution's failure to protect its only family member of colour. You don't give a fucking flying rat's ass about any of that. All you simply care about is getting publicity for your excrement of a publication so that you can make money from it. That's all you care about. He blamed the British media for hysteria in its reporting of Endgame, blame shifting, and criticised the aggressive resistance he had claimed to have encountered while reporting on the royal family. It might just be, Scobie, that people don't like you because you're a unfortunately faced tool who has just basically leeched off the Sussexes and made yourself some kind of royal reporter, despite not really having any journalistic integrity whatsoever. Serious journalists laugh and scoff when your name's mentioned. When I landed in London, reporters were already banging on the doors of my parents' homes. My car was being followed, violent threats were piling up, and some of the papers were baying for blood, he wrote. And if you don't like it, don't be involved in the profession. You know what it's like. You chose to work there. Don't start crying now, you stupid man. Endgame sold 6,448 copies in the UK in its first week, according to official figures. His first book, Finding Freedom, sold 31,000. Hardly a resounding success. The King was said to be consulting senior advisers and the Prince of Wales this week on the family's next steps. It then makes reference to the Oprah interview in 2021 and the Queen's magnificent Recollections May Vary announcement. Are people buying these excuses that the factually incorrect Scobie is peddling? Let's dive below the line for a moment. Emma Kendrick writes, why did he have the names in at all? Then they would not have to be edited out. A convenient blunder. Absolutely right. A. John responds, let's hope they sue the pants off the little lick spittle. Mark Jefford is straight to the point. Liar. Ian MacLeod responds, I tend to believe this was a mistake. He's opened himself up to a potential legal action from having named names. Regardless, I think he is an obnoxious individual. Anthony Bowers, sympathy seldom abounds when the biter gets bit. Jan Andrew, Scobie and the Sussexes, all three egregious liars. Nicholas Jenner, funny that Harry didn't appear to be so before this one's wife was on the scene. Oh, March, of course all of this avoids the key question of who passed on these names to him. Jan Andrew replies, exactly, my money's on methane. Nee Fallon, if they sue him, he will need to produce the evidence, if it even exists, or face bankruptcy. William Lovering, Weasel. Julie Wilson, if he thinks his claims are true, why did his lawyers tell him he was at risk of libel in the UK? If you write something that's true, how is that libel? T. Ashley, if you choose to play with acid, you'll get burned. Orla Gahuli replies, FAFO, as they like to say, i.e. fuck around, find out. Philip Bailey, parasitic third-rate hack, who would read his tripe? W. Crombie, so basically, he now admits that he did send the draft text with the names in it to the Netherlands, but he didn't actually intend for them to actually publish what he sent to them. He just forgot to send the final version. Even if you believe this latest version of his truth, he is still responsible. D-Law, he has to have put those names in to start with. He doesn't have the decency to admit it. he would rather blame the translator. Guy Broadford. Strange. He said categorically that there was never a version with the names in it, ever, and yet there they are. What possible explanation could there be, I wonder? Tony Jeffrey. Scobie thinks he's another victim. His response and reaction is gaslighting, denying the events that actually took place, and, of course, it shows that he is factually incorrect, that he's contradicted himself, and therefore, as was the case with what was written in Finding Freedom, you really ought not to believe what he has to state. The factually incorrect Omid Scobie caught out again as he attempts to save his own skin. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.